Hello, everybody. Welcome to my basement here in our next series of live Q&As. Joining me today, the one and only Josh Feemster, direct from California. How is California? How are you? What's life like right now?
Oh, life is good. Life is slowing down. I guess you could say slowing down.
Yeah.
Yeah, life is good. Life is full of children and homeschooling and
Oh,
finding
that's a
new things to do in the backyard. We got a little backyard, and man, have I got corners of activities, and I've become very experimental on how to keep them out of the house and out of my way.
Yeah, I'm just picturing you as a homeschool teacher, and I can't imagine what your children are learning.
Today we're going to go over the entire chronological order of the Marvel Universe. Starting with Uncanny X-Men. See, they used to be in blue and yellow suits. He said Wolverine was an original. Time out. Go see the principal.
All right, for the rest of you, I'm putting a movie on. It's a movie day.
Yeah.
Start with Captain America.
Yeah.
So I had already mentioned this, but since we just went live, I should thank you for the headshot picture there on your chest.
Oh, you're always by my heart, Brent. Ever since I've known you. So during this entire quarantine, whenever I get sad, I sit there and go like, man, this is tough. It's just, oh, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. I pinched your cheek a little. Look at that. Thanks, Brent. Thanks for being there.
Across all these miles, I can feel it.
Okay, good.
So a little bit of backstory for anybody watching. Josh and I met at Fresno State University moons ago, when I was a freshman, and then I believe you were a junior, sophomore, somewhere around there.
Second time junior, maybe.
And then after that, we reconvened in Los Angeles. We both went through the Second City program, but we also became roommates. And we lived together for many years. And you were part of our wedding. And yeah, I mean, we've had lots of good times. Uh-oh, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
You there? Oh, my video went wonky for a second.
Uh-oh. You're in complete shock of remembering everything we went through.
That's what it is, yes. Can you see me?
I see. You're frozen.
I'm frozen. Okay, I should pop back in a minute. As long as you can hear me, that's what's important.
That's
Everybody else just
all we can ask for.
Headshot on Josh's chest.
Right here, yes.
Yeah. We started an improv group together at Fresno called Improver Behavior.
Get it?
Yeah. And so clever. And that, but we also were part of a two-man band that never performed, ever.
No, we just broke into, well, I shouldn't say broken, I had a key, but to the studio at Fresno State, because I was designer. That's and recorded an album on reel-to-reel that is still somewhere in the archives of Fresno State. So for those of you listening at Fresno State, you scavenger hunt time.
Oh God, you mean it's still like in their system there?
Yeah, well, I sealed up the reel-to-reel and I stuck it in the closet with other reel-to-reels. So as long as they haven't just destroyed all those, it's probably still in some random closet in the theater department of Fresno State.
That is terrifying.
And it's worth about $7,
if even,
on eBay, and that's because my dad will buy it.
That is such a terrifying thought that somebody one day is going to sit and listen to that and go, "What is this?"
Let me set the stage for you real quick, because if someone grabs that and they don't know any idea what it is, more so than now, Brent sounded like he was a 7-year-old singing, and he was saying naughty things and funny songs. And if someone gets that without any context of who we were,
yeah,
they're gonna think a 7-year-old was singing those songs.
Oh goodness!
Which I would pay to see their reaction.
So, yeah, since then, you have gone on to work at NBC at Access Hollywood.
Correct.
And why can you take us through, because I know the story of kind of how you've worked your way up, but how, because now you're associate director.
Correct.
Which means what? What does an associate director do?
So, best way to try to explain it is, I'm the guy in the show that you hear always counting in the control room. Mm-hmm. I'm basically I direct the traffic of the show. So while the director is switching between cameras and what he wants, I'm making sure all of the playbacks on the wall are in order. I'm telling them where to queue them all up. I know how long the duration is of every playback we have up there. So if they need to throw to some sort of piece of B-roll, I know how long that B-roll is. I know what's on that B-roll. If we do a live show, I work on the live show. So if they're in an interview and they start talking about something random in a show that they're promoting or something they did in the past, I know where to cue it up on that piece of tape to start rolling it for the director to coincide with what they're talking about on stage, and lining up a lot of the graphics. And I put all of the, where you put the lower thirds in to name people and all the little things that come on the bottom of the screen promoting different things or what we're talking about currently. I do all that stuff. So sorry, Brent, we can't see you, so I'm just going to do this.
Okay, yeah, just hold that up next to my box. I'm not sure what's happening. I'm having some sort of technical difficulty.
It's okay. This is such a boring interview so far that you bailed on it. The host has bailed on the interview. I am that dull. But I'll just do this for the people at home. I'll be like this. So, Brent, what have you been up to? What is director of Spotlight Theater? What do they do?
Oh, we produce 6 main stage shows, and we host a number of events. We host weddings and
No, keep talking. Keep talking.
We host events and all sorts of children's classes and children's programming. And okay, that got weird. Now it's weird.
Sorry.
Could you take us through? Because so from starting NBC, what was your progression up to associate director? Because I know just about every possible job there to get up to where you are now.
Right. So I started there. I'm coming up on 15 years. It'll be 15 years in October. So 14 and a half years. I started all the way at the beginning. So I started in the library pulling tapes and footage for producers. And hello, everybody. It's just you and I.
No, keep going.
He's back.
I'm listening. I'm trying to fix my camera. Keep going.
Okay, no problem. I thought we were having a one-on-one with the audience here. Hi, everybody. Now that Brent's gone, I would pull tapes and footage for producers for shows. And I did that for about a year or so, and then moved on to the script department, and I became a script production assistant, script PA. And that consists of a lot of filing, a lot of running papers to the stage, with script revisions, and did that for a while. And then, hi, Dottie. How are you? Nice to see you. Brent's back. Hi, Brent.
I never left. I'm still here.
Oh, I know. You're always here.
Yes, I'm always watching.
You're always here. Okay. And then script PA. So I would run revisions of scripts and stuff down to the stage in between takes and whatnot. And did that for a while. Then I became a graphics coordinator, which was ordering graphics for the shows of what graphics you would see and kind of interpreting what the director and the producers wanted to our graphics team that actually build them. And I was the go-between with all of them for a little while. Then I became the script coordinator and script supervisor, which means that I ran the whole script for the show. I timed the show to make sure we hit, the exact marks for commercial breaks. And sorry, give me 1 second. My dog is having a conniption fit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take you with me.
Okay.
I'm in a closed room, and he does not like it. Marsh. Oh, he can come in. It's fine. Hi, doggy. And so then I ran. Where was I? Script supervisor. So I timed the show and did all of some rewriting and like grammatical stuff. Fixing grammatical errors and stuff like that for prompter, making sure things were formatted properly. And then eventually when we got doing the live show, because I was working at the night show, the regular 30-minute that everyone sees at like 7:30 most places. Check your local listings. We started a 1-hour live show after the Today Show. And once we started doing that, Billy Bush was there at the time. And I became friends with them, and they started trusting me with information because I spent my entire childhood watching TV and movies. When we started, a lot of our guests were from 80s and 90s television and movies. And so they would be doing interviews, and then all of a sudden, everything that my parents yelled at me for, like sitting in front of the TV and not going out and play, all came when they're doing interviews. And I was like, I've seen these movies. And like, oh, he's talking about this actress. Hey, guess what? They were in a movie in 1992 that was straight to video that I watched on spring break while all my friends were having fun. And so then I started getting in their ear and talking to them during interviews and giving them bits of information, bits of trivia, and things that they would start using in interviews live. And I would rewrite stuff and put information out there, and became kind of a go-to guy for that stuff. That the executive producer at the time we started to become friends more and more. That when a associate directing position opened up, they asked me to join. I had started doing some associate directing stuff over at Fox Sports, and kind of cut my teeth over there doing. I worked on Fox Sports Deportes.
I used to watch that all the time.
Did you? I didn't speak any Spanish, so somehow I got through that. It was really funny. I speak enough Spanish that I grew up in California, so through osmosis I know some Spanish. And there's some pretty funny stories from there because even though it was in Spanish, I kind of figured it out. But then sometimes the producers would run in and yell at me in Spanish, panicking about something, and I kind of catch every other word. Like, what? Wait. And then I look at it and I go like, I don't know what you're saying. I don't speak Spanish. And then they go like, oh, sorry. And then they would ask me the question. I'm like, yeah, I took care of it 5 minutes ago. And they're like, oh, okay, great.
I mean, were you like the only one? Were you the only one in the booth that didn't speak Spanish?
I was one of few. There wasn't many. Most of them spoke Spanish, but I did not. But it was okay. But sometimes they would send me because it's live broadcasting, and I would do like soccer games and baseball games and stuff like that. And there'd be a PA run and hand me a piece of paper from an editor, and it's all in Spanish except for a time code and like a duration. And I go, all right, I guess with that time code, I'm going to say that duration. I don't know what the rest of this says, but we got through it pretty well, and it was fun. But So then when a position opened at Access Hollywood, they offered me the job full time to be the associate director. So I took it, and I've been doing that for about 5 years now as the associate director for those shows.
Okay, and that actually leads in. Our friend Chris Tracy asked here, what shows have you worked on? Because I know you have. Was it just that Fox show or sports that you worked at? or didn't you do some also NFL editing?
So I haven't done a ton of editing. Most of my editing is like live, like re-air stuff where I have to like sit and tell an editor and go like, cut here, go 3 frames in. Okay, I need you to cut from there to this spot, and then he goes back and does it while I carry on with something else. So I would do a lot of that. There was the Fox Sports stuff. Yes, there was some of that where I would go in with an editor and we would cut some highlight stuff. And we did a lot of stuff where we would be doing a lot. Like I'd be called in at 3 a.m. to do a big soccer game that is in Spain, and I'm doing it live, like from LA, but it's live in Spain, and I'd be on a broadcast with a bunch of different ADs and people at Fox Sports all over the world. They'd be listening to me to go to commercial breaks and when we're putting in different scores or penalty kicks or whatever. And then I would sit with an editor sometimes, and we would condense that all down for a 2-hour re-air broadcast in the United States or Brazil or somewhere in a different time zone, so that we could send that package out so that when they re-aired it, they knew that this was with commercials 2 hours, where the original broadcast might have been 2 hours and 35 minutes. But we figure out where to kind of cut some fat out of it to kind of hurry it along. Yeah. So I did that. I've worked as a script supervisor on some shows, mostly pilots, stuff for Comedy Central that never came to fruition. Some of it, we did a pilot. I worked as a script supervisor for a pilot that that show never came into fruition, but it became incorporated into another show that was a big success, like a sketch show. So some of the stuff that I did from there kind of made it over spliced up into something different, if that makes sense. I can't really talk about it, but like, so they took what was going to be like a sitcom-y kind of show and spliced it up into a series of sketches amongst other sketches in a show. Because they weren't thinking it was very likable to do an entire 30-minute show every week with these characters. It was very funny though. And yeah, I've done just
I think what you're probably best known for, at least as I'm concerned, you did a short film with John Mayer, the musician, that is hysterically funny, about how he writes his songs. And I don't know if it's out there or not, but I know you showed it to me, the outtakes of you like beatboxing with him.
Yeah.
Because that didn't end up in the final thing, right?
No, they took that part out. I am in the other parts I'm in are in the one that made Funny or Die. Funny thing is I have the exact same facial hair. It's the first time I've had this facial hair since that video. This was during the writer's strike.
That's right.
I forget the date of that. It was probably about 9 years ago, maybe a little more. Judd Apatow did a series of Funny or Die stuff, produced some Funny or Die stuff for different, people that he works with. And one of my buddies worked with him and directed that. It's called Making Music with John Mayer. And so I was the computer kind of sound tech for his song. We're all trying to compile a new hit song for him with minimal effort from him. It was pretty funny. But yeah, there's a great. I was very excited just as a personal fun. But there's a scene where we're in a closet and he just starts playing Rihanna "Umbrella," which was like a big hit, like just came out. And he's like, "Oh, I want this as my song." And so then I said, "No, we'll make you a new one." And I started singing or beatboxing as he was singing over it, which was pretty cool. So I still have that tape of me beatboxing with him singing Rihanna's "Umbrella." But I think he switched it to sipping margaritas. So it was like, sipping margarita, eat.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So as I was actually scouring through some stuff, I don't know if you saw this the other day, but I found this wonderful photograph in my archives here.
Oh yeah.
The motley crew there, coming out of Second City there. But
Didn't someone say that was the least threatening Reservoir Dogs they've ever seen?
Yeah, I think Chris said that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Troy Vincent, Chris Compton, and Fred Cross are joining us. But what I was blown away with was this beehive stocking cap that I'm wearing. Like,
yeah, you're full on Hufflepuff.
I mean, was it like a cool 70 degrees in LA that day or something? Like, who wears a stocking cap in LA?
Oh, if it gets below 75 here, the UGG furry boots come out, the parkas, the puffy jackets, like winter wardrobes. I think there might have been a 15-mile-an-hour gust that night.
Yeah.
Sometimes those theaters can get a little cold. Either that or you were going to go skateboard somewhere or rollerblade.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't that. Rollerblade, maybe. Yeah. Skateboarding, definitely not. So in these live Q&A sessions, we've had a few people on. We've had Hal Lublin on and Mark Evan Jackson, and both times it's kind of come up at that specific time at Second City when we were there. I feel was just such a unique time. This was back when it was still on Melrose, before moving to Hollywood. But one thing that I kept, because reliving all this stuff, talking to these people again and everything, it brings up a lot of memories. But one thing I remember the most was that there wasn't a very clear line between teacher and student. Like there was still that you're my teacher, I'm learning from you. But it was just, I felt like everybody respected everybody so much at that point. And even the teachers respected the students as performers and artists and all that stuff. What do you remember, like, from that time that we were there? Because for me, I feel like it was such a unique time. Now things certainly have changed. It's changed artistic directors and not ownership, but Chicago has a lot bigger hand in it now. And I don't know, I just see it as different now.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we hit a sweet spot there in my experience, especially talking to people that went through it in other times before or after we were there. I think you hit it on the head. I went to other schools, UCB, Groundlings, not a lot of UCB. It didn't really meld with me too much. IO West, some of those, and the community we had at that time was unprecedented. And I was talking to my wife, who also, she went to Second City Chicago for several years and came out here, and then I met her doing Second City LA. And we were talking about this the other night, actually, because we just found out UCB is shut down after all
New York, right?
And I know I have a lot of
clothes out there as well, or was it just New York?
I think, as far as I didn't look too much into it. I know it's New York for sure. I don't know beyond that. I just got a text from you. It just came through. I was like, are you telling me something like on the side that I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Like, and it looks like, let me know if you have a problem getting on to this live stream. Like, oh, I'm here. Yeah. Anyways, but what we were talking about, exactly like you said, you hit it on the head, where teachers were obviously teachers, and they were obviously far and away superior in their craft than we were. But from my experience with the teachers that I was in the most contact with there didn't seem to be a huge arrogance of, let's not forget that I'm the teacher and I'm better. There was a lot of them coming to see our shows and laughing and coming and saying, I'm going to take that, and like what you did with that scene, like, was awesome, and I want to somehow incorporate that into something I do, or like teach something that goes with that. Or they kind of were always willing to give and take with ideas and where we were going with things. And I think that's really such a huge thing that also boosts your confidence to get up there and be like, oh, cool, like they like that. They were never hesitant to say, that was awesome. That was awesome. This was great. Maybe think about this next time, rather than being like, oh, this scene was going good until you did this. Was never a put down, at least in, what I felt like we went through. And then it also felt like they were like friends, like we would hang out, and they would just hang out with students and just chill. And and bounce ideas off of each other. And you know, to this day, I'm still friends with some of those teachers, and you know, out of all the people I know in LA, even though I haven't seen some of those guys that you know, like in person, I think I've only seen a couple of those guys in the last couple of years. It's like we pick up right where we left off whenever we're together, or you know, talking and stuff. And it's like the closest relationships I've had in LA have come from that time at Second City.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and actually, still to this day, my friend Bob Kelly, who performs here locally in the Quad Cities,
Bob,
he still to this day says that your wife is one of the most funny and talented women he's ever not seen perform. And that's
true.
only based on our wedding where he met her. He's like, I just have a feeling she is the most talented woman improviser out there. He goes, I know it.
She's pretty special. She is she's the thing that's probably the best is raising kids with comedians.
Yeah.
you gotta laugh. Like, you know, like the kids will say something and like we'll be like, now go to your room. And then they like go, and they storm and shut the door, and then we both look at each other like, bah! You know, do impressions and like of like kids being upset, and like, you know, it's like relieves the tension when you have somebody that gets the joke, and they they see the characterization in the child's attitude of like, I'm gonna play you on stage one day.
Well, you're better at not breaking them. Oh, careful, that hurt.
Hold on. Okay.
Reset. So everybody that we've had on here, we've asked this question to. How anybody that, you know, and we typically frame it like this, in to go into this business or the business that you are in, what piece of advice would you give them? And I feel like in your business, be wide net, because I mean, at any point in your career, would someone say, hey, how would you feel about just being the associate director at Access Hollywood? You know, it was kind of an interesting growth there, but how would you say theater has informed or helped you along that way to get to that point? And what advice would you give somebody wanting to either produce or write or somehow get involved in the business?
I'll tell you, there's three things that come to mind. Number one is don't worry about starting at the bottom. And I would say after the last recession, not the one we're currently in, but like, you know, it's hard to tell them apart now, right?
Yeah, current one, or
yeah, but the last one, you know, we saw a big difference of hiring people and how studios were kind of built, and a lot of it was instead of hiring outside people, it was hiring from within and promoting from within. And I can't tell you how many people I have talked to that are somebody that knows somebody that I know, that are looking for a job, and they send me their resume, and I'm always, you know, going like, yeah, like, let me know what you want to do. And they send me their resume and it says, I want a coordinator position. And I'm like, what have you done? And they're like, oh, well, I did this and this in college. And I'm like, you want a mid-level position and you're trying to jump ahead of about 30 kids that have been working on that show for 2 years, working their way up and getting relationships and understanding how that whole thing works. It's, unless you know someone way high up, and even that's becoming a little bit scarce, you're not going to jump to the middle, like, just because you have your degree. Like, all these people have their degree, like, for the most part, you know. I had my degree. I got my degree. I spent a year working at Universal Studios theme park, and then I went in to Access Hollywood, and I started making about, I don't know what it was, like 35 grand a year. Like, it was just above minimum wage, and that's full time, you know. So I was like, you just start at the bottom. That's number one. Don't hesitate to do it. You might be there for a little bit, but probably not for a long, long time. Which brings me to my second thing, work ethic. There's one thing about networking and trying to like go around and and kiss everyone's butt and try to look like the golden child. It all comes down to work ethic and how much you can do your job without someone even needing to come over and tell you what you did wrong or how to fix stuff or telling you anything about your job. You be reliable. Be the person that they can sit there and say, oh my gosh, I just need so-and-so to do this so I know it's done right. And at first you're going to sit there and say, great, now I'm getting extra work. Like but when those positions open up, they're going to be like, I need him there because he's the only person that knows how to do it properly. And then that's how I got every job I did, is I was the backup to like 5 jobs. And I sat there until someone either left or got promoted. And then they looked around, they said, he's the only one that knows how to do this job. I want him there because I don't have to train him. I know he'll do it how it needs to be done. I know I don't need to look over his shoulder and make sure it's done right. So being that person is huge. Start at the bottom and then just learn every job around you and become that person that they have to go to fix things and that they can trust. And then the third thing is no matter what, don't ever crap on the people below you, ever, because you never know where those people are going to be. Sorry, let me backtrack. You shouldn't do that because you're be a decent human being. That's the first part. But business-wise, this business is weird, and you never know where people are going to be. And I've seen so many people that have been cruel or mean or just kind of, a jerk to people that were way below them. And those people that were way below them are now above those people. And you can imagine what happens with that.
Yeah. Well, and
for the most part, people are like, they're not going to retaliate, but the kind of humiliation that you're like, oh no, don't do that. Just be nice to everybody. Like be kind. If you don't like someone, guess what? There's going to be someone in the entertainment business that's going to be a jerk. There's going to be someone at an insurance company that's going to be a jerk. It's called business. It's called being around people. Smile, do your job, and move on. And I can't stress that enough, how many people don't understand that part.
Well, and that has been every single person we've asked, that's been their answer. Just be fun to work with. Like, be a good person.
Yeah.
Be fun to work with and easy to work with, and then that will open doors to other things.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's about our time. Thank you so much for doing this and being on here. Oh, I do have one more question. So we, at the Spotlight Theater, have a new improv group called Stolen Set, and we have been experimenting with Zoom improv shows that we will soon be coming out with. So that I'm officially asking you this in front of everybody, all 4 people watching. Will you join us for an improv Zoom session?
Let's try one right now. Let's see how this goes.
Okay. Can I get a suggestion?
Can I get a suggestion? Oh, wait, no, you go. You go.
Can I get a suggestion?
Okay, do you want me to go or do you want to go?
Are you? Well, you said I go. Are you going?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I said you go, but you just sit there for a second.
Oh, I didn't. Are we getting a suggestion or are we just improvising?
Christopher, give us a suggestion.
Is he still watching?
Yeah, this is going to go well.
This is going really well.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah, I absolutely would do it.
Cool. All right. So tune back in here at the Spotlight Theater for some improv with Josh. In the meantime, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time.